Well, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. Dr. Lopkin, interesting week. Interesting week, and I'd love your comment on this. I believed or I thought that the impeachment initiative, controversy, farce, whatever side of the aisle you're on, was going to be wrapped up. And then the Bolton wild card came in. And I actually thought, and I'd like your opinion, that changes everything. This could throw a whole monkey wrench because I thought Trump is essentially skating. Your opinion on that first?
Well, it could change some of it in terms of extending the trial because people want to hear what Bolton has to say. Does it change the outcome? Doubtful.
Oh, no, I
From
don't think it changes the outcome. Hold on. But I think the sooner it's over with in terms of Trump's standing, the better. Here's what I think, and I want your opinion on this, please. Is I believe that it doesn't really, might get a couple more votes or whatever. It doesn't really affect the outcome of the trial. I get that. But does it change public perception if John Bolton says under oath that, yes, Trump said to me that the aid is held up, so on and so forth?
Well, here's the thing. Bolton can say that Trump wanted to hold up and tie up the foreign aid until he gets this investigation of the Bidens. Trump could have said he wants to hold up aid until they give him an investigation. The fact of the matter is Ukraine did not do an investigation and they got the foreign aid. So it doesn't even matter what Trump wanted or even intended to do. It
Okay, that's an
wasn't done.
That's an interesting point because it's like me saying I want to murder someone. You can't go to jail for that.
Right, exactly.
That's essentially what you're saying. But I think if you're going to be intellectually honest about this, I believe it does throw a little bit of a monkey wrench. In other words, it's not kosher anymore. It's a little tainted. I have to say that.
Well, no, because they've got the same defense against Bolton that they had against numerous other ones. He's pushing a book deal. He's trying to build up book sales. It wasn't a coincidence that this information leaked the same day that pre-orders became available for his book.
Well, I guess in closing this part of the Carnivore Bites, I think motivations. I think it does potentially throw a monkey wrench into things, although there's other information that we'll get to that suggests possibly not. Speaking or dovetailing the Bolton situation, I believe this impeachment has really hurt Biden. Because I think if Bolton goes, the Bidens are definitely going. In other words, to testify. There's no question about it. You cannot have one without the other. They're joined at the hip at this point.
Well, I think the Republicans will push for at least Hunter Biden to testify if Bolton testifies. Is it hurting Joe Biden in the polls in the race? I don't really think it is. I heard some very interesting information just this morning from Democratic pollsters. And what they are saying is that when they go out and they talk to Democratic voters, they don't give a damn about the impeachment.
No, they might not
don't
give about
care.
impeachment, but I got that, Dr. Lopkin. But I think it's still a cloud of controversy. I think it does not help Biden at all. And
it certainly doesn't help him.
That's what I'm saying. It does not help him. He's already a weak candidate to begin with. And in fact, I know Bernie's ahead in 3 states, which is shell-shocking. Your comments, please. The Democratic Party. Shell-shocking the Democratic Party.
It is amazing. But honestly, I think the whole reason that Bernie is ahead right now is that other than his dust up with Elizabeth Warren, for the most part, he's kept his mouth shut. When there are
Speaking of
few,
Warren, hold on. Speaking of Warren, do you think she's finished? Not finished. Do you think I think her chances are greatly diminished.
she was a bad joke going into
Well, I
this.
know that, but she still was strongly in the top three. I believe that's tarnished.
I mean,
Too many lies, too many controversies, and
she's
that dust
still
up
in the
with the
top
blue collar guy didn't help.
she's still in the top 3, but the fact of the matter is she never stood a chance of going the long haul. Nothing she has said or done is going to change that. And that's the same thing with Bernie, basically. The reason he's benefiting in the polls right now is because he's pretty much kept his mouth shut. When there were fewer candidates and he actually has to talk about his policies and who's going to get hurt by them and how he's going to pay for everything, he's finished. He
Well,
may
that's why
win.
got it. That's why the Democrats are very scared about that, because even on, I think it was CBS Good Morning, whatever, I forgot her name. It's not really important. She's very liberal leaning, without any doubt. She was
Gail King.
basically, no, it was someone else.
Oh.
He just dropped the ball. She's like, well, how much is it going to cost? He goes, I really don't know. She goes, you're proposing things and you don't know how much it's going to cost?
Exactly.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
So to your point, I think that's going to happen more and more.
And that's what's going on. Bernie may very well take the nomination, but he cannot beat Donald Trump. And that's really sad, because the Democrats actually have a strong candidate in the primaries that could beat Donald Trump, and they completely ignore her.
Oh, Gifford.
Or Amy.
What's her name? Amy Klobuchar.
Yes.
She could actually. I agree. 100%. She is the strongest, best chance to win not only the nomination but go head to head against Trump.
Yes.
And she's not going to make it.
If the mainstream Democrats pulled their support away from Biden and put it behind her, they would actually stand a chance.
No question about it. I think that's brilliant. Speaking of the impeachment and the political in terms of horse racing, there looks like there could be 3 defections. Democrats have at least stated, it could just be posturing, that they might vote for acquittal, along with, which would make a 4th, Dianne Feinstein. What do you think that's all about? Do you think they're sending signals? What is that all about?
Well, I think it comes down to, there were a couple of Democrats, these 4 among them, who honestly believed that impeachment should be treated with respect and treated as a legal process. And they've listened to what the House put forward, realized that all of this is hearsay that wouldn't even be admissible in a court of law. And they're going, you know what? We just can't back this.
I think Joe Manchin's the one that has the greatest chance. I think he might vote to acquit, depending on what Bolton has to say. Interesting enough, Trump's approval, believe it or not, is the highest in 3 years. It's at 47, the highest in 3 years.
Yes, because the economy is steamrolling along. Consumer confidence is up. They just signed USMCA this morning. So things are actually going well.
One little quick question about consumer confidence and all that. So you don't really see the economy slowing down to a point of hurting Trump at all?
Not to the point that it's going to hurt Trump. Is it going to slow down? Yes. We're at a point where the economy will be slowing down, primarily because the stock market has gone up for one of the longest bull markets in history. We are at the point with jobs where we just can't fill them.
No, let me ask you about that. Is part of the pulling back on growth, part of it, not everything, is part of the issue is that companies just can't fill the open jobs?
Well, part of it is that they can't fill their open jobs because we don't have the skilled workers to do it. There is another draw on the economy right now, which is the coronavirus, because you're
Hmm.
going to see supply chains hit by factory closings because China is closing down entire cities to keep this from spreading. Well, there's a lot of manufacturing still in China. So if those factories are shut, it means nothing's being manufactured, supply chains are down. That's going to drag the economy down. Is it going to drag the economy down enough to hurt Trump? No. And in the
Uh,
long term, it's going to be negligible.
I agree. Well, why this impeachment process is going forward, there's a Mideast peace initiative with Trump and the Israelis. I think the Palestinians opted out of it. Your comments?
Yeah, I haven't gotten into all the details of the Mideast plan. I have heard the broad strokes. It's very obvious that the Palestinians did not have a part in this. And quite frankly, I don't think it's got a chance in hell of getting approval with the Palestinians. It's
No, but
fan-
what? Let me ask you a question. What if the Israelis do it arbitrarily? Just because you don't really have a partner in peace, whatever. I mean, you can go into why. There's valid reasons, whatever. But why unilaterally just do it? Because
the
Israel has to do something to solve this problem for many reasons. It would take a half hour to go into all the
Yes.
reasons why, but that's what they have to do.
The Israelis could very well move forward with this and make it a reality. However, I do think that the drawbacks to the Palestinians are so great that it would push them into the arms of their terrorist partners, and we would see more war in the Middle East.
Okay, fair enough. I guess in closing, the big takeaway for me is I was really surprised. I don't think initially I thought the Bolton revelation and possible testifying was going to be a game changer. I'm not so sure it is. What's your comment?
I don't think it's going to be a game changer. I think it's going to draw enough interest that people are going to want to hear him testify. But in the grand scheme of things, he does not actually have proof that Trump did this because it didn't happen. We know this for a fact. The Ukrainians have said that there was no pressure.
It'll make good news for CNN.
It'll make good news for CNN, but the fact of the matter is they're not going to turn 67 senators to get a guilty verdict.
Oh, real quick, in closing, CNN, did you see Don Lemon about him laughing about Trump supporters? Big controversy.
No, I missed this one.
Yeah, well, we'll check it out. We'll maybe talk about it next week. But that concludes another edition of Carnivore Bites. We'll be back next Wednesday with another edition.
See you then. You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch us every week on carnivoreradio.com, exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast Store, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.